Hello and a very warm welcome to this special edition from the In-Depth unit. My name is Tshegofatso, Magolego, and today there is nothing more important than taking up space in society and cementing yourself. These are the words by international pageant title holder. She is an actress, she is a fashion icon, and their name is Zozibini Tunzi. Zozi, thank you so much for making time to speak to us. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Listen, when you agreed to do this interview, I was like, okay, Tseho, what do you wear? Number one. Because you're such a fashion icon.
Thank
And
you.
is this like a very intentional thing that you do, that you always want to look your best?
Thank you so much. You look great yourself with your bow tie. I see you did put a lot of effort in there. I love it. Fashion. I've always loved fashion and just looking good. Something that I do take from my mother and my big sister who love clothes. And so it was not a, foreign concept for me to get into. So I take everything, seriously. And it's something that's important to me because, if you look good, you feel good. And it's a form of expression and art, on the body.
You were brought up in Esidwado in
Yes.
the Eastern Cape.
Yes.
And you were brought up with your two sisters as well. How was
Three.
Three. So
Yes.
you were the fourth one.
So I'm the second of four.
I see.
I actually grew up between Esidwado in Ixolo and Edujwa, which is a small town. That's where my mom is from. And she's a school principal there. And it was such a great balance. I love that I was able to have that kind of upbringing because it just taught me so much about community and humanity, humility, and people. I think by the time that I moved to Cape Town and to a big city to be exposed to some other things, it was such a beautiful thing to have the foundation that I did have because it helped me have a huge understanding of people. Because when you grow up in a small town or a village, we kind of all know each other and we're all different people. And so by the time I moved out, I was just able to have that understanding that people are not the same and being able to exist in big spaces and still feel like I fit in.
How would you say that your mother, Plesua, had an impact on you, or what are some of the lessons that you got from her growing up?
So many. I mean, the first one, fashion. Hello. But I think the most important one, so she's a school principal, but most of my life growing up, she was a school teacher. And I loved to say she loved taking work home. She would bring so many of her learners and students back home, and it felt like we were an even bigger family. And so for me, again, what she was teaching me there was again an understanding of people and community and a sense of togetherness in knowing that you can go a little further alone, but it's so much better when you have people with you.
Do you know that both your parents worked in the education sector? How did it happen that you could have become a teacher or school principal?
I know. I think it didn't happen because my parents are very much supportive and open in whatever it is that we want to do as their children. I think the most important thing for them is, are we doing the things that we love? And are we good human beings? In fact, none of my siblings are, in the education space because we're just all following things that we love. And so, yeah, that's why I'm here. It's just like support of wanting your child to be happy in their space, no matter what it is that they are doing.
Would you say then this is the reason why you went on to study at CPUT, a degree in communications and public relations?
Yes, so education, you had to get an education. So that's the one thing that they were very firm about. It could be anything that you want, but they were very insistent on making sure that you do get that education for, stability. And I get that. I get that from a parent's perspective because they will let you go out into the world to figure yourself out, and they at least want you to have something to fall back on should the, world go crazy.
In 2016, I believe you were one of the students who were financially excluded from university. How was that like for you?
I mean, that was such a tough time. I mean, I'm smiling now, but when I think about it, it was such a tough time. And it was during, the fees must fall time when we were marching, we were in the streets, they were hiking up our fees. And the university was just like, if you owe any amount of money to the school, it doesn't matter, you're out. You either pay all of it or you don't register. My whole life, I felt, came crashing, at my feet at the time. So maybe for the first month, that's all I felt like. The end of the world, because that's how you feel when you're trying to get an education, this thing that will propel you in life, this thing that will better you in life. And then all of a sudden it was gone in an instant.
You started pageantry, I think you were about 11 when you started?
Yes, quite young.
Where did that come from?
So when I was younger, I mean, I tell the story all the time. I did grow up a little bit on the shy side, a little quiet, not a lot of friends. And so I entered my first pageant because of my mom, who really just wanted me to go there and be amongst other young people and little girls and to build friendships. So that was the main thing of why I did my first ever pageant. And I kind of just fell in love with that space, not only just pageantry, but because it was a form of entertainment and a stage and things that I didn't know that I truly loved. And, my love for performance truly began from that moment.
Do you find that there's a lot of pushback from just society if you're a woman who understands themselves and who wants to give their own opinion?
Yeah, I mean, it even comes across as like a threat, or you're just like a whole threatening person if you are that way. Again, I think it goes back to how the world is built, how not just South Africa, really, like globally, we're all in a bed of patriarchy. And I think that's the biggest issue. That's why people do feel threatened when you even mention things like feminism. What is that? Does that mean we're overthrowing men now and women are in charge and we're going to do to you what you've done to us? I think that's the biggest fear as well, is that when you have been on the receiving end of things, people think once you get some kind of power and empowerment, that you will do the same things that they did to you. And truly, that's not what women empowerment and feminism is about. It's about finding an equal ground of equity and equality and not overpowering. It's just trying to undo a lot of wrongs that were done in the past.
Where would you say then you get the courage from to just be, just stand on your own 2 feet and say, this is my opinion and this is how I would like to qualify it?
Well, I grew up in a family full of women. I mean, I have 3 sisters. There's my mom, who has ample sisters, my dad, who has ample sisters. It's not a lot of male energy in my family, except through, my dad and 2 uncles. And so I think that's just really given me the confidence to see it from my elders and to know, that this is something that's possible, that's real, that I can be too.
And then 2019, you are crowned Miss South Africa.
Zozibini Tunzi!
A whole 360 in my life, everything changed in a day, but it meant so many things for me and my family and my community, because through that I was able to use my platform and my voice to speak of the things that truly matter to me.
You went to Miss SA with your short hair. Why do you think it was important for you to go and be your truest self and have people see that type of beauty at the time?
Well, I mean, if you do look at the Miss South Africa space and Miss, the pageant or beauty space, let me say, it's taking a little while to kind of be open and inclusive to different kinds and types of women. And so it's always important. It was important for me at the time also to represent myself as that way, because that's how I had been for the past 3 years, and I didn't feel a need to change, because then I would be succumbing to whatever ideals society sees as beautiful or woman of standard or whatever it may be. And so it was important for me to arrive as I was. I had to believe in it first, for other people to believe in it too. And so I believe in progress and transformation and things changing and not being the same. And so it was very important to me to kind of really highlight that message. You don't just wake up and you're like, I'm so pretty, I'm so confident. That's not, an actual thing for a lot of people and myself as well. It's an active thing that you have to do on a daily. When you wake up, you have to tell this to yourself first. Before you go out into the world, because they will try to tell you so many different things. But if you affirm yourself every time, it's a practice. It's something. Sometimes I fall off. I mean, there's days that I wake up and I'm just like, I'm not feeling my best. I'm not feeling my prettiest. But it's a conscious decision that you have to keep working on. So I don't want people to ever look at me and feel like I always have it on, or I've always had it on, and it's not. It's something that I work on.
You then go on to win Miss Universe.
All right, here we go, South Africa. Here is your question. What is the most important thing we should be teaching young girls today?
I think the most important thing we should be teaching young girls today is leadership. It's something that has been lacking in young girls and women for a very long time, not because we don't want to, but because of what society has labeled women to be. Nothing as important as taking up space in society and cementing yourself. Thank you. I mean, it's the same kind of feeling, except obviously at a bigger and much grander platform. I mean, you look at Miss Universe, and I'm only like, I think the 6th Black Miss Universe, and the competition has been running for about 72 years now, I think. And so that's a long time to not have Black women being represented in the space, and to have just about 6 of us. And so it was a moment.
The new Miss Universe is South Africa.
It's a big moment of immediately when I win. It's so many questions on the table. Why? Because as a Black woman, God forbid that you just won because you won. People want to find out what's so special about her. Why is she so deserving of this? Is she like multi-talented? Is she a genius? It's never just at face value. People can't just say, she did deserve it just by face. You have to constantly prove yourself time and time again that you deserve to be in that space because A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And so that's why it gets so emotional, because it's a whole roller coaster of having to prove that I deserve to be here as much as everyone else.
I believe your reign was during COVID-19. How would you say, or what are some of the challenges that you faced during that time?
Sure. I mean, for one, it was challenges that everyone else was facing, because we all found ourselves in this scary place of not knowing what is going on, what is this thing, worried about my family because I was so far away from home. And I think the worry about my reign hit me much, much later, because my main concern really was trying to figure out what is happening. And so it was kind of difficult on my reign as well, because then I couldn't travel or do the work that, Miss Universe usually does. But I think the most important thing was to remind myself what is the main core and essence of this job. And it is not through the travels, but the work that you do, the lives that you touch.
Miss South Africa is now allowing women with children, married women to compete in Miss SA. What do you think of that?
I think it's the most, fantastic thing to have an array of women who come from different walks of life, who have seen different things, who are going to be able to bring those things that they have seen onto the platform, and teach us and lead us through their life experiences. So I think it's a great thing. Women are different. We're not all the same. 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have won Miss Universe. 15 years ago, 5 years probably even. But that changed, and so I'm hoping that so many things can change as we move forward as well. I'd love to see a trans woman, be a Miss Universe and a Miss South Africa.
Looking at the state of our country and just the universe, what do you think are some of the pressing issues that we should be prioritizing currently?
Gender-based violence is like one of the biggest things against women in the country. And again, it's a thing of, one might say it's a policy problems because they're not there, but the actual truth is policies are there. It's just that they're not being implemented as they should.
Do you ever let your head down and just relax and, not worry about work?
I do love to enjoy myself and to have a good time. And for me, sometimes that looks like being in my pajamas at home because I am a homebody. I don't like doing a lot of extreme things and being out and about. And so my luxury time is as good as just sitting at home and doing absolutely nothing and sleeping. That for me is like letting my hair down and just enjoying myself.
And what is your go-to playlist currently?
For me, my absolute, I will never not go a day not listening to The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. I get why it's her only album until today. It's genius, it's perfection. She never wants to touch that. And so I think it's just the most incredible piece of music.
Now that we've taken up space and we have cemented ourselves, where to from here?
So I have a very exciting year ahead, actually. I can't wait to go home and relax so that we can kick off the year. So for the first quarter of my year, we're really going on full steam with my foundation, the Zozibini Tunzi Foundation, which is, its beneficiaries will be, women, children within education. Because primarily what we want to do is to really look into education, making sure that we are empowering women and young girls with a voice that they will in turn use, to become these leaders in their society. And then obviously looking at trying to help out in rural and semi-urban areas and making sure that we lend a voice and help there as well. And so I'm very much looking forward to be able to do that because my main thing that I like to say is my foundation should be a reflection of who I am. I was able to get education, and so to educate is an important thing. And after I got that education, I was empowered. I had some kind of empowerment, and now I'm able to empower other women as well. And I would like the beneficiaries of the foundation, to get an education, to be empowered so that they can empower as well. Once they're empowered, I really want them to be of influence.
Yeah, thank you so much.